And tricks this morning on styrene. Styrene is a product we have in the shop that's available. It is always, for our purposes, going to be white. It is a low melt, so sometimes you'll see students vacuum forming with it, but there are other uses for it. You can take heat gun, heat it up, deform it. You can do bends with it. We'll focus on cutting and gluing it up today. So the methylene chloride material works well for gluing it. Some little blocks here come in. You can just drop some glue on the corner there and quickly allow it to set up. In this case, we're making a little box. We could come in, quickly take pieces, sketch them out, come in and cut. The good thing about styrene is a couple of score lines is all it takes. And then you can come in and easily just kind of start breaking it. And then you have ready pieces. The X-Acto knife is good for coming in after you've snapped it. You don't exactly have a nice crisp line, so you can come in and run that to start cleaning it up. There's also a burr on the edge here. We can come in and clean that up. And so cleaning that up would be coming in. I'd probably hold it just like we did with the acrylic box. Start tacking off of one end, and then allowing it just kind of run always downhill, so it's going to run down in and set up for you. We can quickly come back in and take files to that, clean up those edges. Even coming in and an edge that's not perfect, we can still take the X-Acto and scrape that down to get a nice clean edge. Radiusing that, if we want to put a little round over on it, we could. So softening that edge that way. Cutting curves. We can cut this on the bandsaw if we wanted, but we're going to end up with somewhat of a jagged edge. So if I can carefully come in this morning and follow that line, we can do the same snap technique and start breaking that open. Okay. Say we wanted to form a piece of plastic up against that edge, something like this. Styrene is fairly rigid. This is 080 in thickness. You can find thinner styrenes. That's what's great about it. It comes in different thicknesses. This one's a little bit thicker. But as you can find extrusions. You can find tube and square and round, even angled pieces. So Plastruct is that company that makes all of that. So for something like this, we have to come in and we can do a cold form on it, pre-flex the material. So you can take it over a corner of your table and start softening it, and you can get kind of a pre-bend already formed on it. For the tight bend radius there, I had to come in real tight and kind of form it. The first thing I had to do, since this was a sharp turn, I set it up and glued it. I let it set up, and once that had done, a couple hours later, I was able to come in and start forming this around that edge, gluing on this inside edge. Some other things you can always do, like additions. So cutting out little shapes. The real thin material will allow you to take a punch. Always have a block, a hammer. And you can come in and punch out holes, or in this case, a little round piece there. Those can be cleaned up. This is probably 16th, so I wouldn't say you could go any thicker than 16th with a punch. And if you get too small, then you're gonna have a difficult time pulling those out. So just some tips and tricks there with styrene this morning.